Dhurandhar the Revenge isn't just a sequel, it's an evolution. A film that dares to move from grounded espionage into a stylized, emotionally charged spectacle. And interestingly, on a second viewing, the film reveals a completely different layer. Because when you already know the story, you begin to notice the craft, the decisions, the detailing, the intent. But here's a real question. Does this film truly balance technical brilliance with emotional depth? Let's break it down. One of the film's most defining strengths is its music and sound design. This isn't background score, this is storytelling. Just like part 1, the music doesn't sit behind the scenes, it drives the film forward. It's constantly present, almost restless, making the film feel fast, alive, and intense. In fact, in both the films, music becomes a character in itself, guiding your emotions subconsciously. Except for one key moment, where Hamza and Elena confront the truth, music is present in almost every single scene. And sometimes, it's used brilliantly against expectation. Take this. SP Aslam is moments away from a suicide blast, and what do you hear? A cheerful Tamma Tamma track. That contrast, that's not random, that's craft. There are some standout tracks in this movie. The first one is Ari Ari, pure adrenaline. It just doesn't play, it pulses. During Jaskirat's massacre sequence, every hit, every movement syncs with the rhythm. It's brutal, yet beautifully choreographed through sound. Next is Firse, sung by Arijit Singh. This is where the film breathes. A wave of emotion carrying Jaskirat's pain, regret, and inner conflict. And when paired with Ramana Balchandran's brilliant Veena rendition, the impact multiplies. Next is Man Atkeya, which is a rapped version. Used in the mid-credit training montage, this is where tradition meets modern energy. Token's rap, fused with Shah Hussein's Sufi poetry, it keeps the narrative fresh, dynamic, and alive. And finally, Wari Jama and Mayor 2 both blend well into the screenplay. Especially Mayor 2, it elevates the chaos as unknown gunmen dismantle enemies with precision. But there are some tracks which doesn't land, especially the Didi Didi remix. This is where things slip. A poorly remixed track, tonally disconnected, it neither adds to the story nor enhances the moment. Unlike Fasla from part 1, which elevated Akshay Khanna's aura, this feels like a missed opportunity. And beyond that, some tracks simply don't land because their placement lacks impact. But the letdown I didn't expect was the background score, because part 1 set an insanely high benchmark. Think about it, the 2611 sequence rising from silence to an operatic crescendo, or the climax transitioning from the Dhurandhar theme to high voltage action, ending with Asatoma Sadgamaya track. That was not just music, that was a masterclass in sound design, mixing, and emotional build-up. In comparison, Dhurandhar the Revenge doesn't quite hit those same heights. But still, credit where it's due. It's rare, very rare for music in Hindi cinema to become a narrative force. And a lot of that credit goes to Shashwat Sachdev, who blends synths with Indian classical texts beautifully. If you haven't already, check out the Indian Odyssey, the album that came last year. It's a proof of his brilliance. Next is the editing. The editing mirrors the film's ambition. Fast, sharp, and relentless. Rapid cuts and stylized transitions keep the momentum alive, especially in action and montage sequences. But here's an interesting thought. That mid-credit training montage, it should have been in the opening scene, because it would have grounded Jaskirat's soldier background, making the massacre sequence even more impactful. Now, while some portions, like the Liari gang wars, feel underwhelming in montage form, and the climax gunfight feels slightly routine, these are minor dents in an otherwise tightly edited film, because when it works, it really works. The pre-interval and post-interval stretches, absolute masterclass in editing and screenplay. And once the second half shifts into revenge mode, the film's energy skyrockets. It also helps that editor Shivkumar Panikar is deeply involved in the screenplay. ensuring that Aditya Dhar's vision stays consistent. Next comes the cinematography. Visually, the film is a clear upgrade. Every frame feels designed, crafted for scale, for impact, for the big screen. There's heavy use of stylized lighting, slow motion entries, but what stands out is the shift in framing. Where part 1 relied more on wide shots, this film leans into close-ups, and that changes everything. Whether it's Zarwari's tense meetings, the Khalistan discussions, or their gripping interval block, the close-ups amplify tension, pull you into the moment. From brutal massacre sequences to cold espionage setups to warm emotional flashbacks, every visual tone is captured with precision. Full credit to cinematographers Vikas Naulaka, because without their lens, this world wouldn't feel this real. And finally comes one of the film's biggest achievements: brilliant production design, art direction, set decoration, costume and makeup department. This is world building at its finest. The town of Leari, built across 6 acres in Thailand, feels alive. The streets, the textures, the chaos, it all feels authentic. Even the costumes, they reflect Karachi's culture with stunning accuracy. From small shops to large-scale sets like Javed Khanani's factory, everything feels lived in. This isn't just set design, this is immersion. Finally, technical aspects are something we often overlook. A film doesn't become great because of one person. It becomes great because of a team. The editors, the cinematographers, the sound designers, production designers, and the composers, they are the invisible force that shapes what we feel on screen. Because at the end of the day, story may be the soul of cinema, but technical brilliance is what brings that soul to life. In my next video, I will deep dive into story, screenplay, acting, and various philosophies and themes in Dhurandhar the Revenge. You can also catch my review of Dhurandhar Part 1 and The Revenge here. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to Film Relic. Until next time, stay curious, stay cinematic.